Hey, my name is Emily. My story isn't what you might be expecting. You see, some people confess to their crush, while others totally hide it. In my case, it was a roller coaster of emotions and incidents, and I'm pretty sure I can blame my sister for that. This is my story about how my sister locked me with my crush and how a crazy twist on the day turned out to be the best day of my life. But hang on, before moving ahead, do subscribe to this channel, and I hope that your crush will fall in love with you within 7 days. Where do I start? Maybe from where it all went wrong. It was the last day of summer vacation when my sister had the plan to throw a late-night party. My sister and I were never that close. She was 2 years older than me, but she always acted like a child. She loved pulling pranks and torturing me. Once, she hid a fake spider on my dinner, which made me scream and faint. Anyways, she seemed very serious about the party, and we both worked hard to get everything ready. Little did she know that the only reason I was going along with the party was so that I could see Josh. Yes, you caught me. Josh, my crush for a whole year, was literally the hottest boy in school. He was the captain of the basketball team, the only reason why I became a cheerleader. Unfortunately, I never got enough time to talk to him. Every time I approached him, I felt my heartbeat increase, and the rest was history. This time would be different. This time, he would be in my house, where I'm most confident. Nothing would come in the way between us talking. Or so I thought. It took me a few hours, but I finally found Josh in the heart of the party. He was having fun and talking with a few girls. I approached him awkwardly and tried to start a conversation. It was going pretty well until my sister showed up. "So Josh, I hear you love thrills and adventures," my sister had said. She never had any troubles talking to anyone, unlike me. Josh had confidently said yes, and that's when my sister crossed the line. "You know, our basement is haunted. I dare you $20 to stay there for 10 minutes with no lights on," my evil sister had said. I gave her an angry look, because we both know our parents had forbidden us to ever go to the basement. Before we moved in, we were warned about it. Apparently, someone had committed suicide in the basement, and if you're really quiet, you can sometimes hear whispers and sounds coming from the basement. I didn't want Josh to have a bad experience in my house. I started to protest, but it was too late. My sister showed her real evil side when she told me to show Josh to the basement. It was totally dark and abandoned inside. There was dust all over the basement and broken furniture all around. After I made sure Josh went in, I stared at him for a few seconds, admiring how handsome he was, when suddenly the worst thing happened. My evil sister had screamed, "Good luck, suckers!" and slammed the door behind me. I screamed at the top of my lungs because the basement was now totally dark. Suddenly, a hand grabbed me from behind. Just as I was about to punch the ghost, I realized it was actually Josh trying to stop me from screaming. With a calming voice, he said, "It's okay. I'm here, don't worry." For the next 20 minutes, I found myself apologizing for my sister's actions. This was extremely embarrassing for me, but I soon realized I was getting a lot of time to talk to Josh. Yes, her plan to embarrass me was backfiring. Josh and I talked about our hobbies and similarities. He told me the party was great and that he was glad he could hang out with me just before the vacations ended. He told me he always wanted to talk to me and become friends. My heart exploded with happiness. Josh even held my hand when I heard some scary sounds. He even shared how his parents had split up and how lonely it made him. Almost 30 minutes later, we heard footsteps from outside the scary basement. We screamed and a few of Josh's friends opened the doors for us. It was the best 30 minutes of my life. Not only did I get to spend quality time with the man of my dreams, but also he invited me to coffee the following day. Did he just ask me out? Yes! But the story doesn't end here, because the real drama happened later. Near the end of the party, I found my sister talking to Josh. Being the curious girl that I am, I decided to eavesdrop, and that's when reality hit me. Josh was thanking my sister for coming up with the plan of locking us in the basement. Apparently, Josh had had a crush on me for a while, and never got the chance to talk to me. My sister and Josh had planned all this so that he could ask me out. That was actually the best day of my life. I had found new respect for my sister, whom I had hated all this time. I never told her that I knew. I guess even the worst people can have a kind part inside of them. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. My plan was perfect, but my luck was imperfect. You all have heard of many stories regarding young teenage girls messing up and losing it in front of their crushes, but I'm sure you've never heard anything like my story, which is filled with twists and turns and an ending that I can never forget. This is my story about how I hid under my crush's bed. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, and your crush will fall in love with you in 7 days. You have no idea how mad I was for Jason. This happened a few years back, when I was just a dumb teenager madly in love with her crush. Jason was tall and handsome, surely the most popular boy in my school. He even always aced his exams. All the girls were crazy for him, but fortunately, I was the only one he would talk to. Lucky me. But Jason wasn't the only smart one in school. I made a plan with my best friend Sam to convince our history teacher to give our next assignments in pairs. After that, Sam chose Jason as his partner, and then a few days later informed the teacher that he had a hernia and needed surgery. He told Jason to pair up with me and agreed. I know, I'm a mastermind, but little did I know that would cause my misery. I was scheduled to go to Jason's house to do our assignment together. Even before going to his house, I knew that something would surely happen. We were having a spark when we talked, and I'm sure I saw Jason checking me out at the cafeteria earlier. Anyways, by the time I went to his house, it was pretty late. He greeted me with a smile. His house was totally empty, and when he said, "Make yourself comfortable, my parents are out of town and my little brother is sleeping," I felt butterflies in my stomach. Would I get my first kiss tonight? We worked and researched for long hours until it was almost 11 p.m. I told him I should head home, but he insisted on me to stay longer. He invited me to bed to help him with his research. As our hands brushed each other's, I knew he wanted me. Our eyes locked, and he leaned in to kiss me. Our lips were just an inch apart when there was a knock on the door. Damn it! Without even thinking, I jumped up. Jason was reluctant to open the door. When I asked him why, he said he was not allowed to keep visitors past 10. His little brother would tell him off to their parents. Like a reflex, I got down and went under Jason's bed. He opened the door and I saw his little brother Mike's feet. He wanted to know when Mommy and Daddy were coming back. Apparently, he had a nightmare. Damn that kid! I couldn't believe I had missed the kiss because of him. After a few minutes, he went back to his room. I got out from the hiding position and Jason started to apologize. As he came close to me and as we started to continue what we left off, the doorbell rang, and we heard footsteps. Jason whispered that it was his parents. His mom entered the room and kept on boasting about the boat ride they had. She further said she wanted to surprise Jason, so they came home early with his cousins. Yes, you heard me right. After she left the room, I started to creep out from under the bed, but it was too late. 2 of Jason's cousins came into his room and started playfully fighting with him. In a few minutes, they were on his PlayStation and lying on his bed. My head was hurting, and I was extremely hungry. It was almost midnight, and none of the cousins were leaving the room so that I could sneak out. A disaster, right? Just wait. So I was stuck there all night with nowhere else to go. My parents had called 1,000 times, but I texted them that I was crashing in Mary's house. For the next 6 hours of my life, I could not move my limbs or even lift my head. I did not sleep at all that night. I was stuck under my crush's bed all night. After his cousins fell asleep, I became too sleepy. I'd almost dozed off. That's when Jason quietly shoved me and woke me up. We sneaked out of his house, careful not to wake his parents or his cousins. It was almost 5 a.m. and too dark outside for me to go home alone. That's when Jason became a gentleman. He got his car out and drove me to my house. Early in the morning, I got to see the early sunlight reflect on his face. We met eyes, and just before we reached my house, he crept in and finished what we started. He kissed me. It was long awaited, but well worth this. This is how our love story began, by hiding under his bed for almost 6 hours. But I had no regrets, because everything afterwards for us was perfect, with the happy ending of my dreams, with the prince of my dreams, Jason. Share your thoughts in the comments if something similar ever happened with you. This story is unlike anything that you have heard before. It's filled with love, money, and of course, betrayal. At first, I thought my life was over, but then I soon realized that it was just the start. This is my story, where my crush is a gold digger. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, or who knows, your crush might turn out to be a gold digger too. My best friend Penny and I did everything together. Not only did we grow up together, but also we have always had the same crush. However, soon things started to change. I have a feeling this is more than just a crush, I had told Penny. You see, I just couldn't get my crush Nathan out of my head. He had been stuck in my head for almost a year now, and even though Penny and I both fancied him, I never stopped getting obsessed over him while Penny got interested in the next boy. Nathan was tall with a body that any girl would fall for. He had ocean blue eyes, but there was a slight problem. He never showed any interest in me. He only showed interest in Penny. I know, it's devastating, but it only gets worse. You see, Nathan and I slowly became good friends, and he started to give me more attention. I figured he was over Penny, and Penny had no problem with it too, since she wasn't that much interested. We started to spend a lot of time together and got to know each other much better. I was extremely happy with life, and Nathan really appreciated me. I was just waiting for him to ask me out when something unexpected happened. The love between us lasted for around a few months, until Penny's dad bought her a new Lamborghini. After that, I started to notice that Nathan went totally crazy for Penny. He would text her all day, send gifts at her house, and constantly ask her out for coffee, literally every day. He went as far as doing her assignments. Nathan and I weren't officially dating, so I never had any right to tell him off. So I just talked to my best friend Penny. She said there was nothing to worry about and that she would soon cut him off entirely. She also agreed that it was weird for Nathan to be interested right after he got to know that Penny's dad is a millionaire. I believed her. But then it all changed. I was casually walking home with shopping bags when I found Penny making out with Nathan in her Lamborghini on the street. It instantly broke my heart that my best friend would betray me like that. I had no expectations from Nathan, but Penny? That moment changed me for the rest of my life. I quickly realized that Nathan was just passing his time with me, and what he really wanted was Penny's money. Also, I now hated Penny for betraying me and breaking our friendship code. After that night, I instantly stopped talking with her. I cut all ties with them and felt a fire rise inside my heart. I was going to change my life forever now. That's when I started to take my studies seriously for the first time. I vowed revenge, and as the years passed, I was met with nothing but success on my way. I finished my studies quickly and started a small business. I opened a coffee shop in the corner of our street. We quickly found success because I had put my heart and soul into it. With just 1 year, we started to make huge profits. We expanded and put numerous other branches all over town. I was now the owner of a reputable brand. But I didn't stop there. In the middle of a night, I Googled Penny's dad and found many articles on him. I found that Penny had married Nathan, and since he had a fight with Penny's dad about money, Penny was cut out from all the family money. The very next day, when visiting one of my cafes, I found a new waiter who looked very similar. I approached him, and I found out he was having a fight with one of the customers. The customer was Penny. The waiter was Nathan. They were fighting over money and why Penny wasn't making any money. When I approached them, they were all open-mouthed and surprised to see me. They couldn't look me in the eye, but I still greeted them. I smiled my brightest smile. I ordered coffee and Nathan brought it. We were all sitting on the table walking down the memory lane when Nathan asked if I came here often. Being honest, even though not entirely, I said yes. Melissa, another waiter, came and greeted me and called me ma'am. I revealed that I was the owner of his cafe. I brought out my very expensive mobile to receive a call and found Nathan's mouth water with greed. I casually said, "I'm glad you were a gold digger, Nathan. I'm glad you were a traitor, Penny. Because of you two, I found my purpose, success, and happiness in life." With not another word, I walked out of my coffee shop with the same smile the whole day. What do you think of my story? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Have you ever met your love while hanging upside down on your balcony railing? No? Well, here's my tragically romantic story of how I tried to sneak out of my house during a pandemic and landed in a hot guy's arms. Hey, before you proceed, first, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't, then mark my words, your boyfriend will run away with that sexy single mom next door. Peeking through the window, I was lost in many thoughts, wondering how to make my way out of the house. People are looking like zombies, anxious eyes, faces covered with masks, struggling to maintain a distance from everyone while spraying disinfectant all over their body. Oh God, what has the world turned into? I want to go out as well, but how? We've been locked inside our house for about a month now, since the outbreak of COVID-19. Though making 100th failed attempt to convince my dad to let me go out, I still didn't give up. The balloon of my frustration for being stuck in this house was getting bigger every day. So one morning, I mustered up my courage and planned to sneak out, just to take a small walk around the town. But I, being ill-fated, ended up swinging upside down over the railing of my balcony, which I tried to jump off. Darn! I cursed every cell in my body for making such a stupid plan. I was so badly stuck that I couldn't get a hold onto the railing to pull myself up. I was stoned to death thinking, what if my dad found out? I struggled too hard to get a good grip at the railing, but failed and went straight down to hit the muddy floor until someone caught me in his arms. We both fell on the bushy slope just across the muddy trail. It all happened so suddenly that my brain couldn't properly respond. I was being hugged tightly by a stranger. But wait a minute, let me check his looks. It's important to know if your savior is handsome or not. You know, just girly stuff. Am I sounding too cringy? So I pulled my head out from his strong, muscular chest and looked at his face. He was wearing a mask with his rough hair falling on his eyes. That auburn hair, greenish eyes, and the softest yet strongest grip of his arms around me were enough to make my heart skip a beat. After an awkward silence, we stood up and dusted off our clothes. Pointing his finger towards the railing, in a sarcastically funny tone, he asked, "Hi, I hope I didn't spoil your fun." "Oh, that? I was just trying to sneak out. Wanted to go on a small walk, but got tripped off the railing. But, anyways, thank you so much." Confused and embarrassed, I tried to sound confident and cool in front of him. "I'm Steve. And you?" "Oh, I'm Lisa." Blushing deeply, I responded. He smiled back and I started walking. As expected, he followed. There was a little connection developing between us. I can sense that. "So, Lisa, where are you headed?" "I didn't plan anything yet. Thought to just roam around in the streets and head back home before my dad wakes up." "Would you mind if I join you?" he asked with an adorably flattering smile on his face. I don't know what was in his aura that made me feel safe. Maintaining a distance, we walked in the streets talking and discussing the current pandemic situation. He told me about his dad being too strict just like mine, and how he always managed to sneak out. I told him about my daily struggles to stay sane in the little house. We laughed and talked a lot. Being with him made me feel alive and happy. I enjoyed every second of his company. He showed me his house, and to my surprise, it was just a block behind mine, and our terraces were so closely constructed that I can even jump off to his. After spending an hour together, we head back home. That day, I was lost in my thoughts and was constantly stalking his Facebook profile. He sent me a request, and we started chatting. I fell for him, and we got deeply involved in each other. Every morning, I would sneak into the terrace with freshly made sandwiches, and he would come with coffee or juices. During this pandemic, we found love and peace in each other's company. We maintained a distance, used to wear masks as well, and stayed careful for not affecting each other of this deadly virus. We began to take care of each other a lot. We shared our lives' stories and made plans to travel together once the pandemic is over. We loved each other's company so much that we started meeting at the terrace in the middle of the night as well, when everybody in my house went to sleep. One day, he shared an adventurous plan and told me about a quiet place near the lakeside. We got up early before sunrise and packed our bags to head there. This time, he helped me get off the balcony railing, and we ran to discover that place. Upon reaching there, I saw a small cracked bench under a shady tree across the lake. That abandoned place looked like a piece of heaven, so beautiful and serene. He held my hand for the first time during all these months and took me there. We cuddled on the soft, wet grass and listened to the sweet, chirping voice of the birds. That moment was filled with passion, love, and an unbreakable promise of trust and devotion. The sweetest moment was when he sanitized his hands and softly cupped my cheeks, lovingly staring into my eyes. I saw purity in his intentions and felt the warmth of his love. I never knew life would be so unexpected and full of surprises just when I least expected.